All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our webinar. We're going to be talking all about college fit, finding the right college for you. I'm talking a little bit about admissions to the University of Arkansas. I'm so really happy that you're here. We might give it a minute before we really get started and let some more people join, but really happy you're here this evening to chat with us about college fit in the University of Arkansas. So my name is Hillary Rogers. I'm an admissions counselor for the university. And I'm also on our communications team. So I work to make communications and I work a lot with our Stars College network, which we'll talk about here in a moment as well. And then I'll pass it off to Radina to introduce herself.
All right. Thank you, Hillary. My name is Radina Osbrooks. I'm Senior Assistant Director for Arkansas Recruitment and the Stars College Network Coordinator for the University of Arkansas. And so tonight, Hillary and I are representing the University of Arkansas, but we're also representing the Stars College Network. And so what STARS stands for is small town and rural students. And the college network that we're representing is these 32 institutions from across the nation. We have come together with the common goal of just letting small town and rural students know that there's a lot of different options for them when they're thinking about higher education. And so we want to give you some training, some resources, some education just to help you through this process. And tonight we're going to be talking about college fit and how to do a college search. One thing about the STARS College Network, these are some of the things that we kind of do together. We'll travel to small town and rural community, free programs on the STARS campuses like fly-ins or drive-ins or ways to kind of test out that college fit. We'll talk more about that. And then once a month, the College STARS College Network does some virtual college access and programming that's no charge to you. At the University of Arkansas, we're also doing some of that virtual programming to help our in-state students that are interested in just learning about more about the college process. And there's also great on-campus support systems through any student that's going to any university here as part of the STARS College Network. We really want you to come to our campuses, bring those experiences, but then also be able to go back and impact your own communities. So, a little bit about understanding the path to college. So, your story matters just as much as your scores do. Colleges want to know who you are, not just what you've done. And so, on the left side of your screen, you see some pieces that you're going to be submitting to the college or university that you're interested in. And so, this could be during the application process and it could be during the scholarship application process. But just to give you an idea of what it is telling us when you submit these pieces to us. So one is your transcript, and it typically is going to be your high school grades. You may also need to submit a school profile that just lets that university or college know about your high school. So where is it located? What's the enrollment? How many AP courses do they offer to their students? The number of credit classes that they offer. These are just things that will help us know as we're comparing students for admission. Did the students challenge themselves when they were in high school? If you took 5 AP courses and 2 concurrent credit classes, and that's what your school offered, then yes, you did challenge yourself. But if the same student took the same amount, but their school offered 37 APs and 20 concurrent credit classes, they probably didn't challenge themselves as well. So it's a way for us to compare students in a very equitable way. Activities list, how you like to spend your time. What kind of impact did you make to your school or your community? What kind of obstacles maybe did you face? What are you curious about? We just want to know how you like to spend your time and what you like to do. Essays, if you have to write it for admission or for scholarships, really is your chance to kind of share your voice and your story and your values and your interest. These are all really great ways to share about who you are. Recommendations are what others see in you, both in and outside the classroom. And so that can be very impactful. Some of the best people to give a recommendation for you is either a high school counselor or teacher, someone that can not only write about your character, but also about your academic ability too. Test scores. Ooh, test scores, right? One data point, not a deal breaker, but check the requirements. Some schools may need it for admission, some may not. Some schools may want it for scholarship applications, some may not, but it's always good to have multiple test scores because as you take those tests, whether it's ACT, SAT, Accuplacer, a lot of times student scores tend to increase. So taking it more than once is really good. And if there's any kind of additional information if needed, any challenges, any context for things you've experienced, those are all really good opportunities to share with the university. Every university is going to have their own specific list. So when you're doing your college search research, really kind of find out what they're wanting for the admissions process, but maybe also for the scholarship application process as well. So finding your college fit. So it's kind of like putting a lot of puzzles together. And these are all things that you probably have never thought about when it has come to your education's next steps. So you may have went to your town's elementary school. Maybe you had a couple options. Maybe there's just one. And then you kind of went to the middle school and the junior high, and then you went to the high school. You may have never really thought about the type of environment that you want to learn in. But these are all great pieces to think about. So size and location. Do you want to go to a larger school or a smaller one that's close to home, one that's far away? Cost and financial aid. That's a really big one. This may be the first time that you've had to actually pay for your education. And so that's a good conversation to start having now. Academics and school type. Do they simply have the major that you're interested in? What type of school is it? Is it a 2-year? Is it a 4-year? What kind of programs that they offer? You may apply to a university that has multiple degrees and they have a lot of different things you're interested in, but looking for that is going to be important. Campus life and culture. Just what do you want to do outside of the classroom? Particularly if you move to a campus and you're living there, that's not only going to be where you go to school, but it's going to be where you live, perhaps for the next 4 years. So having that campus culture and life and activities is going to be important. And then student support. You want to be able to get any kind of assistance and help that you need, whether that's through accommodations or mental health facilities or academic tutoring or peer mentoring. All of those things are going to help you be successful. So thinking about your academic fit, we're going to kind of talk about 3 areas: academic fit, social fit, and financial fit. So academic fit, what is your learning style? How do you learn best? These are metrics that can help understand the classroom experience. So the average classroom size and the student to faculty ratio. Student to faculty ratio shows you based on their total enrollment and how many students they have enrolled, and then that ratio to a faculty member. So means for 19 students we have enrolled, we have a faculty member. So that's a pretty good ratio. If the overall enrollment of the university is small, that's okay. If it's a large university with a large enrollment and they still have that small student to faculty ratio, that's really good because they want you to get to know your professors. And how do they support their students? Is there access to academic advisors, tutors, professors? Do they have office hours? Do the professors see the students outside of the classroom, maybe as they're doing experiences and activities and research? And what academic opportunities are available? Do they simply have the program or major that you're interested in? That's a really good question to ask. And if you want to do research or if you want to do study abroad, what are ways that you can enrich your experience? Do they have an honors college? Is that something you want to be a part of? These are all really good questions. And then 2 good questions to ask is what are graduation rates and retention rate? Retention rate is showing students that started their first year and they came back for their second year. That means they were successful, they were supported, they were happy, they were doing well. And that really does set them up to graduate. And so going to a university that has a high graduation rate, that means they're doing and serving their students well. And sometimes that may be more important than an acceptance rate, but you definitely can ask that question too. There are some universities that are very highly selective and may only accept a certain percentage of applicants every year. And so you kind of know maybe you shouldn't put all your eggs in that one basket. Maybe have a lot of different options when you get ready to apply. And so finding your social fit, what do you want your life to look like outside of the classroom? These are all great things to consider, size, location, distance from home. Do you want an experience where you can go home easily on the weekend? Or do you find yourself thinking, I'm going to go home during breaks, but I'm probably going to be involved in things and enjoy my time on campus during those breaks. But there's going to be a lot of times outside the classroom, which you're going to be able to get to know people and enjoy activities. And so you really kind of think about what are all the options that you would like to have available. And then your financial fit. This is a big thing. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe the first time you've had to pay for your education. So have a conversation with your parents. Maybe it's assumed that you're going to college. Maybe you're thinking you want to go to college and maybe you haven't had that conversation with your parents yet. So it's a good time to go ahead and do that so that you can start doing research, start looking at all the different options for financial aid and scholarships, learning what are some of the difference between a need-based versus a merit-based. How do you earn those? What would you need to do? These are two tools here, My Intuition and then Net Price Calculator that is put out by College Board. These are just two tools to kind of give you an idea of what it might cost to go to a university. University of Arkansas, on our treasurer's office, we have a great tool called a tuition estimator that just is that. You can estimate your tuition and fees per semester. You can also throw in a housing option. We have about 20 different residence halls on our campus. They don't all cost the same. And so you can plug in some different ones that you're interested in and then also use an estimate for a meal plan. So a good way to get an idea of any kind of that cost before any scholarships, any financial aid, any other assistance that you have out there. All right, so building your college list. This is really a good step for juniors to start doing that. You need to keep in mind financial, academic, social fit. Is there something that is your non-negotiable? I think a very easy kind of non-negotiable is if that university or college does not have the degree or the type of education that you need for your career, that probably is a non-negotiable. That may be not a school that you want to keep investigating and researching. But on the flip side of that, any school that does have your area of interest is worthy to get to look at and maybe look about, well, what about financial fit? What about social fit? These are some good tools with Big Future and College Scoreboard. College scorecard to get to research those and make a spreadsheet. This is a time to really kind of dream big. You don't want to limit yourself. You're just researching, you're just seeing how they compare. And then closer into the summer and beginning of your senior year, you can really kind of narrow those down to maybe your top three, applying to 3 different colleges and kind of doing all the steps as if they're your number one choice, because until May of your senior year, you might not know which one is your first choice, is a really good thing. That's kind of manageable. And I think you're going to be able to do your research and then kind of narrow down that list as well. So these are just some things you may hear about the different types of colleges and universities. So there are public universities. University of Arkansas falls into that one versus a private institution. There are 4-year universities and there are 2-year colleges. So that depends on the type of degree that they offer. When you hear a name of an institution and it has college in it, that typically means they offer 2-year degrees and lower. University means they're going to have bachelor's degrees, 4-year degrees and higher. Nonprofit, for-profit, liberal arts colleges. You can have a university that is a liberal arts college. It just kind of depends on how many degrees they offer, the types of degrees. It may be more into the arts and humanities. And then you have land grant universities like the University of Arkansas. We're going to have that. Plus, we're going to have a lot of research and STEM opportunities as well. So these are just some different types you might want to think and you might just to, and you kind of have an idea of what they are. So testing your with pre-summer programs or pre-college programs. All of our institutions in the Stars Park have some great opportunities for students. Some of them have some summer programs. It's definitely a good way to kind of test that college fit. Sometimes they can be a one-day event. Sometimes it might be a 2 to 3 day event or a full week, but this really is a good opportunity to kind of check things out. Did want to point out that we do have a Ready Razorback, which is our junior preview day, and that registration is going to be opening up around April 1st, and that's going to be on Saturday, April 25th. So if you haven't ever visited campus and you're exploring and you're researching about University of Arkansas, that would be a really good day for you to come up. You do need to register. And so those dates too do tend to fill quickly. So please do register if April 25th is a good day for you. If you can't make it then, we're going to have a couple of days during the summer, July 23rd and July 30th. And then also for you in your senior year, which will be in the fall, we'll have another preview day on October 3rd. So I hope you will check those out and definitely come up and see us on one of those days. All right, so since you are a junior, let's talk a little bit about applying for admission to the University of Arkansas. The application for Fall 27 actually opens July 15th. You can go to apply.uark.edu. We would love for you to submit that application before November 1st. So you can actually submit it this summer. Won't take you very long to fill it out. There's no letters of recommendation needed. There's no essay. And then when school starts, ask for your high school transcript to be sent to us. A test score is going to be required if your GPA is below a 3.2. So that's on a 4-point scale. We like to give weight to AP courses and concurrent courses and IB courses. So if your school calculates it a little bit differently, we will recalculate it so everyone's is calculated the same. But the good news is, if you just took the ACT for the first time in February, you can still test even after you apply for admission, even after you have an admission decision. You can test with the ACT, the SAT, or the AccuPlacer, and you can send in those scores to us. And we really encourage you to do that through about December of your senior year. And then for University of Arkansas, we have a separate scholarship application. So first you need to apply for admission. Go ahead and get those materials sent into us. You can log into your new student center, which is the platform that you'll use for the admissions process and the scholarship process. And then you're going to be able to open your scholarship application, and then you're going to be able to upload some supplemental material. So this is where you're going to get a chance to write that essay, share your voice, share your opinion, share your thoughts. Tell us what you like to do with your list of activities. And then if there's any awards or honors that you've received, we would love to know about that. And so that scholarship application for priority deadline, November 15th, or the final deadline, February 1st, but really want to encourage you to make that deadline of November 15th in your mind, that you'll have it submitted by then. And you can see more at scholarships.uark.edu about that process and all the different freshman scholarships that we offer. So this is your junior year, it's spring. And so on the left side, these are some things that you can do. You can figure out what your non-negotiables are. You can start visiting any colleges and universities. In addition to those days I mentioned earlier at the University of Arkansas, you can simply go to visit.uark.edu and set up your own visit to come up to the U of A. Finalize your testing plan. Start thinking about when you want to take it. If you want to take it again this summer, how many times you might want to take the ACT or SAT in the fall. Those are things to start kind of planning so you know when to register for them. And then, of course, we want you to enjoy your junior year, get in those activities that you're involved in, do your best, take a leadership role if you can, spend time with your friends. Make sure you're doing some volunteer hours this summer. That's a great thing to put on your scholarship application. Plus, you do need to have some hours for graduation as well. And so that's a good thing to start doing the summer. You can actually create your FSA ID for your FAFSA. That won't be something you have to create to complete until the fall of your senior year, but it's a good time to start doing some of those things. If you think you may apply somewhere and need letters of recommendation, go ahead and start talking to those teachers now before school's out and giving them a heads up, asking them their permission so that when you start in the fall, you know that they already are okay and on board and that they'll be working with you to do that. And then this goes into your senior year. Make sure you meet with your counselor in the fall, talk about what your colleges you're applying for, making sure you're getting those opportunities and those materials that we need in, like transcripts and test scores. Make sure when we come and any admissions counselors come to your high school to visit, stop by and talk to them, especially if it's one you're really interested in. Build that connection with your admissions counselor. Applying for financial aid is something you'll start doing in your fall, and that will continue in through the winter. In the winter and the spring, you'll start getting financial aid offers. University of Arkansas did a really great little video about Money Matters. The STARS College Network does a couple of financial videos about Financial Aid 101 and also about how to navigate your award letter so you can kind of compare your offers. So if you go to starscollegenetwork.org, you can register and you can get more communication about all of those virtual sessions that we have. So there's also a QR code if you want to scan that. Don't forget starscollegenetwork.org, O-R-G, and you can register and get a lot more of that information. And I hope you'll also follow us at the University of Arkansas because we do have another STARS webinar that we're going to be doing. And this one is going to be in April. It's going to be on Thursday, April 22nd. And it really is going to be talking about standardized tests. What are the standardized tests that you can take? How many times should you take them? What does a university possibly use those test scores for? Because sometimes it's more than just admission or just a scholarship. And then also, we're going to talk about college visits and how to set that up. What are questions to ask? What are things to see so that you can really do your research and start comparing all of those schools that you're interested in? Now, we are going to open it up for questions, but we're going to make a little bit of a transition. So if you use the Q&A and if you have a question out there, we did take the questions that you had registered with and we shared those with your admissions counselor, but I'm going to stop sharing and allow Hillary to go ahead and show on our website where you can actually see where your admissions counselor is and who that is and so.
Yeah. Um, so I will walk us through that, how to find your region-specific admissions counselor. And I also wanted to go ahead and say, like Radina said, use the Q&A if you have any questions. But we'd also love to hear where you're from. So if you want to send that in the chat, we'd love to meet you and hear where you're from. So you can go ahead and maybe send your name, your high school or name and city where you're from in the chat while I get this pulled up for us. All right. Are y'all able to see that?
Yeah, we can see it, Hillary. Good, thank you.
Okay. So kind of like Radina said, there is a specific admissions counselor that works for the University of Arkansas, and their whole specialty is your region where you live. We have the state kind of divided up amongst our different recruiters. So if you go to admissions.uark.edu, that's kind of our general hub, and you can easily find our admissions counselor page. I also will send this link in the chat once I'm kind of finished walking you through this. But up at the top, you'll see this in-state button. So that would apply to you since you're an in-state student. In that, we'll scroll you all the way down here where you will see all of our in-state Arkansas admissions counselors. So we have several, as you see. Again, they're divided up amongst this state. So you can read underneath each of their names, kind of their area, and you'll see which one matches where you live. I do want to use Erin as an example. She is our Southern Arkansas recruiter. So let me click on her page here. Once you click on your specific recruiter's picture, you'll see this page pull up. So this is where you have the opportunity to schedule a chat with your recruiter. So you'll see dates and times listed here on the calendar. These highlighted dates are when they have availability. So you see that on Monday, the 30th, she has several times you can choose from. She has some dates set up in April. So we try to have several times for you to choose from that'll work with your schedule. If you see one that works for you, you'll go ahead, click through here, and we will have you fill out a form for us. Just in your information, if you have any questions that you want to address during your chat with your recruiter. But from there, you get on a call with them at the time that you chose, and then they would be happy to answer any questions you have. If you don't even know what questions you have, you just want to hear some about the U of A and kind of need help getting started with the admissions process or looking into things, we're always happy to chat with you about anything you might have questions about. So definitely feel free to always visit our website. And you can find your recruiter and their contact info if you just want to send them an email or give them a call. But we would love for you to schedule some virtual chats with them as well to get talking about admissions.